Welcome to my very first ever Nerd Stories. I hope you guys like it, and if you enjoy Star Wars as much as I do, please give me a thumbs up and subscribe. I mean, if you don't like it, thumbs down that damn thing. I don't care, alright? Check it out. A long time ago, in a galaxy far, far away, the year was 36,453 BBY to be exact, before the Battle of Yavin. The Rakata, also known as the Builders, were an interesting looking bunch. In appearance, they were gray, some were red, even fewer were blue. They had an amphibian like feature with a tall cranium along with eyes protruding from each side of their head. They had the most dominant empire in the galaxy. They weren't just any old empire. No, they were the empire. The infinite empire who ruled and conquered for over 10,000 years. But before they could take over the galaxy, they had to get off the planet. And just so luck had it, they were visited by another species. They were visited by the Qua. The Qua were an intergalactic species who came not to conquer, but to teach. They were from a planet known as Dathomir. Dathomir was located far, far away from the planet of Leon, the Rakata's home planet. They came by something known as the Infinity Gates, which would allow them to move from planet to planet in an instant, which I find to be pretty cool. When the Qua finally made it to the Rakatan people, they taught him many things. They taught him about the Force. They taught him how to use it in balance. They taught him multiple things about technology. They even taught him how to get off the planet and go to another planet. That's right, they taught him the thing that we all know and love. They taught him how to jump to hyperspace. But, of course, this is when things started to go south. And while teaching the Rakata, they learned a horrible secret. They learned that the Rakata were cannibals. The Rakata were a cannibalistic race who didn't just eat other species, they would eat each other as well. Not only this, they decided to ignore the Qua about the Force and balance, and only focus on the dark side of the Force. After the Rakata had the knowledge to roam the galaxy, they did it, and they did it freely. The Infinite Empire started targeting planets rich in the Force, both light side and dark side. Once there, they enslaved and conquered the planet. And if they didn't enslave you, they ate you. Not only them, but they would also eat their fallen. That's how sick this race is. But they're pretty cool if you ask me. So, the Rakata developed this technology that could run off the dark side. Then they made machines that could induce hate and fear in their slaves, that could feed their warships and other technology that they had. So imagine that. That's just crazy, in my opinion. They would do this by placing them in this other machine that they had made that would convert the force sensitive slaves' dark side emotions into energy. Alright, guys. So, in my opinion, if they were to make a TV series or 9 episodes about the Rakata and the reign of the Rakatan Empire, that would be awesome. But it takes place over 10,000 years, and I just don't know if they have enough time for that. And it's dark. It's dark. The whole thing is. We're not even over yet. We're not even halfway, I don't think. Stick around, alright? So, the Qual knew that things were starting to get dark. And they also knew that the Rakata wanted something. They didn't just want anything. They wanted the thing that the Qual used to get to their planet. They wanted their Infinity Gate, and the Qual wasn't about to let that happen. So, a battle ensued, and many Qual lost their lives, but they were successful in destroying the Infinity Gate. Although the Qual were able to destroy the Infinity Gate, this didn't stop the Rakata. The Rakata ended up building this gigantic space station known as the Star Forge. The Star Forge was powered by the dark side of the Force and produced warships and other technology the Rakata needed to spread throughout the unknown region and into the eastern part of the galaxy by the year 35,000 BBY. The Rakata conquered multiple planets over the years. Some of these planets they conquered, they terraformed. Planets like Tatooine and Kashyyyk. While on Kashyyyk, the Rakata installed a terraforming computer to manipulate the trees of Kashyyyk. However, the computer lost connection about 1500 years later, and about 200 years after that, it malfunctioned, causing a hyper-acceleration growth of the trees. By about 30,000 BBY, they had linked over 500 force-rich worlds all across the galaxy, and when they made it to Dathomir, the Qual's home planet, the Rakata didn't hesitate to kill and eat every last one of them for the destruction of the Infinity Gate. The ones lucky enough to get away went into hiding. They hid in caves like cavemen, afraid of the Rakata. And in the end, they ended up devolving back into simple-minded Qual lizards. You see, the Rakata were very vicious species, and around 27,700 BBY, the Rakata came across another planet rich in the dark side. This planet was full of force-sensitive beings that had red skin and were very strong in the Force. This was a planet of Korriban. This was the planet of the Sith. While here, the Rakata showed them some of their technology. Things like the holocron, and it seemed like they were making nice. But as we know about the Rakata, they were not there to teach. They were there to conquer. Addis, the king of the Sith, could tell what was going on. So he gathered troops as fast as possible. And this is when the Rakata and the Sith Wars started. By the end of it, the Sith were actually able to drive the Rakata off their home world, but with the cost of Adolf's life. After this, the Rakata continued to conquer a number of worlds, in a little region known as the Core Worlds nowadays. This included the most famous core world, Coruscant, the home world of the human species. Luckily, this didn't kill off the human race. And to save the human species, in spite of being enslaved and cannibalized, the humans experimented with sleeper ships in the year of 27,500 BBY, which seated a number of humans on planets in the core worlds, many of which were conquered later by the Rakata. A few years later, they located a planet in the deep core, an ancient planet that the Rakata thought might be impossible to get to due to the hyperspace lanes being twisted with black holes along the way. This impossible planet to reach was called Tython. It was an isolated planet with a population of Force sensitives calling themselves the Jedi. The Jedi strove for balance in their actions between the light side and the dark side in hopes they wouldn't ignite a massive Force storm from tipping the scales of the planet one way or the other. When the Rakata finally made it to Tython, their dark side presence did tip the scales of the planet's force energy, causing one of those massive force storms. This caused the Rakata's ship to crash, and only one survived, who was immediately confronted by the Jedi. But that's a whole other story, which I plan on doing another time. At its height, the Infinite Empire reached about 10 billion Rakatans and over 1 trillion slaves. But with every uprising, there has to be a downfall. And even though the Rakata were the most dominant species in the galaxy for over 10,000 years, their reign didn't last forever. The very thing that gave the Rakata its power started to backfire on them. The Rakata's force-based technology had a profound consequence, which led to the total collapse of the Infinite Empire. The Star Forge. It started feeding off the Rakata's aggressive tendencies and created dark side energy that further corrupted its creators. After a while, the Empire began to crumble. After this, the slaves revolted, the Empire was divided, and a civil war broke throughout the Rakatan controlled space. The Rakatans had lost a lot by this point, and it was just going to get worse. Soon after, the Rakata were struck suddenly by a plague in 25,200 BBY. It is thought that this might have been created by one of the slaves. That's just a theory. The plague was so deadly, it brought the Infinite Empire to its knees. The Rakata were hurt, bad. And like I said, it was only going to get worse. A mutation caused by the disease caused the Rakata to lose their connection to the Force. And since all of their technology was powered by dark side energy, they couldn't control it and had to resort back into using inferior technology, which allowed member worlds such as Korriban and the Enslaved to begin to expel their Rakatan masters. The Infinite Empire had lost and only had one option left, and that was to retreat back to their home world of Leon. Here they had discussions on why the Empire fell, and with some disagreements, another civil war broke out. This was the civil war to end it all, with the planet, city, and landscapes turning into nothing but islands. It was so bad this war almost led to the complete extinction of the Rakata, with many being drove underground, where they devolved into a primitive primal group, with only the ones called the Elders, which were the Rakatan priests who could recall the true history, the rise and fall of the Rakatan Empire.